Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies. Hey, even you could tap into the Florida market. Hello and welcome to a special episode of Codename New to Vero 2, the Gen X for Gen X channel. I'm your presenter, Shabu RU. Alright, so besides graded comics, magazines, action figures, cartoons, video games, we also have looked at retro tech, and it's actually a pretty popular segment, even though I don't do it that often. But in previous episodes, especially during the pandemic, we looked at the Sony mini disc, which I still think to this day is the best format for music. What even professional level, what have you, mini disc is the shit. It is, even today, it destroys all these streaming services. And like I said during that video, sadly, due to Napster and the whole MP3 thing, we have kind of lost quality of sound for convenience. We've made a trade-off, and I don't know why, but it is horrid when you listen to something on Spotify or YouTube or iHeart, and then you listen to a digital to digital music. The quality is absolutely amazing. And of course, we followed that with the Sony Discman. I particularly like this S2 series because it was the end of the mini disc and CD run, technically speaking. I think this was like the last generation of Sony products, and it was like creme de la creme. And that's why I targeted this line for doing these videos. But again, this is just, CDs are, of course, a little bit more bulky, a little bit, but same. Mini discs are better because of their compact size and, shock and stuff like that, skip. But even with this, the skipping is like non-existent with this model. And of course, our most popular video that we did is, I don't know how the hell, but I somehow found a unopened 1995 Sony Walkman. So we did a opening and unboxing. Maybe that was a bad choice because, if I got it graded and in case, it would probably fetch quite a bit of money, but I wanted, fuck that, I wanted to enjoy it. So the hell with that. I mean, that's the type of person I am. Like, people keep mint in box and stuff, and I can't. You only have one life, so I figured let's open it and enjoy it. And this has been amazing. The good thing, like I do with all these old stuff, little top tip is make sure you take the battery out. So all of these batteries are out, and I also use these rechargeable, these Energon or whatever, rechargeable batteries, because that was a big problem back in the days. These things were battery eaters, and when you're a kid and you get the cheap batteries at Kmart or what have you, you can't get the full Energon, so you get like the dollar store batteries. You're shit out of luck. Well, today we got a new offering, and this one has a little special story to it. And I want to acknowledge that. So here we have the Sony, I think it's, gosh, I've written out everything in the thing. Bear with me. S2065, so the WM62065 model. Now, what's interesting, and this was released in 1990, 1991. So you would have to say that it was at the mid-cycle of the Walkman era. And this thing is absolutely gorgeous. You could feel the quality of it because with Sony Walkman, they had, of course, scales. They had, like, the entry level, mid level, and then, of course, the high, and then the professional level. So technically speaking, there were 4 levels of Sony Walkman products. And I would say this one was at the upper level. It wasn't the low, it wasn't the super high, but you know, you could tell because it had the metal buttons on the side. And also you could feel it with the door. You hear that snap? That's just like, you know, the strength of the door. So I decided let's do a walkthrough of this particular model. And I want to acknowledge there's a lady, her name is Melissa. Her father would repair these, and unfortunately he passed away during COVID. I lost somebody during COVID, and it seems like we're forgetting that, especially during this, you know, election stuff going on. We got to remember that there was a lot of people that were affected by COVID that lost loved ones, and like it just seems like we just moved on and forgot about that. Well, this is to acknowledge those people that we lost during COVID. You are not forgotten. We know that, you know, your memories are with us. We love you wherever you may be, and you're just not forgotten. And I think that we have to remember that there were people that lost loved ones during COVID, and it's not like we just jumped and moved on and, like, you know, we forgot about so many people that were affected during the pandemic. So this is my, you know, subtle, small way of acknowledging Melissa's father, who, you know, these were probably the last things that he worked on before he passed away. So to him, this is for you, buddy. Alrighty, so our setup is pretty cool. I have my Sony Dream Machine here, who's going to be doing the heavy lifting as far as rewinding goes. This thing, man, this was actually at my bed in high school. That's how old this thing is. I had this freshman year all the way to senior year, and it still works like a freaking champ, man. I mean, it's 2024, and this thing still works. And that's what's another thing, quality of stuff. What happened? People, like, these companies are building shit to break in 3 or 4 years. Back in the day, man, they made, especially Sony. And, you know, I recently just bought a Sony 55-inch TV. I know I had that Hisense. First I bought the Hisense thing, and, you know, that was... Yeah, so I bought the Hisense, and, you know, I thought it was a good value for it, actually. But this is the Sony, I think it's L55 or 55L or something like that. But, you know, and the cool thing is I bought it on Amazon, so I don't have to worry about paying for delivery or any of that stuff. But, again, it's just that the Sony kind of like, I was wondering if the Sony Mystique was still there. And I'm happy to say that it is. The quality of this, you know, of course it's, you know, a couple $100 more than the Hisense, but the build quality and stuff is still there. I think this is a phenomenal TV, and I'm glad, you know, you see in my retro videos, I have Sony Trinitrons. I grew up with the Sony Trinitron. In my household, it was always, from my dad, you know, Sony or Panasonic or what we used to get. But I think it's good to see that Sony is still making quality products. And I'm very happy that I upgraded to the Hisense. Right, Maya? Maya approves. So let's take a closer look at this particular unit. Again, I love that it has, of course, the mega bass switch knob, turning it on. And then you have the little volume and EQ down here. The top part of it, you see all your inputs, tape, radio, AM, FM, your tuning for your stations. And here is the good part, the good stuff here. You have, you know, to select which type of tape it is, whether it's metal. Well, let me flip it around. Here we go. You got normal, metal, like, you know, and then of course the buttons itself. Then you could switch the sides, the direction. I love the feel of these buttons, like, you know, nice sturdy metal buttons. Gosh, this is built with quality. I mean, you could feel the heavy, everything in it. It's just, when you hold it in your hand, that's when you like, that's when the memories and kind of nostalgia kick in with this particular unit. And again, you know, because of how sturdy it is with flipping it up, you hear that click. Now, being that this was sold or produced in 1990, 1991, there are two albums I have here that I think would come out at the same time. Of course, that would be Pearl Jam. Oh, let me flash up there. Pearl Jam 10, and of course, a little Guns N' Roses, Losing Your Illusion. So we're gonna pop in these and give a little. Of course, you can't hear, but you know, and then we're gonna play it, of course, through our Sony headphones. These I think are great. Not expensive, but the sound quality I think is phenomenal. You know, these Beats and whatever. Some of these earbuds and stuff are kind of like, you know, it's kind of like false advertising in the sense that you're only able to enjoy what is being output. And if your output is like iHeart, YouTube, streaming, compressed audio files, I mean, it's like polishing a turd, you know? It is what it is. So let's give this a whirl. And again, I said it during those episodes. The quality of cassettes, you know, granted they're taken care of, they're in a climate controlled environment, or they've been stored. Your sound quality is still, I think, superior than streaming services. Yep, you could put that in writing. It is. There's a type of, like, you know, when you hear the CD or the cassette player running, plug that in. And alrighty, so I think it would be fair, since this unit came out in 1990, 1991, to select what albums would have been around at that time. And I'm looking at this Pearl Jam 10 and Guns N' Roses Losing Your Illusions Volume 1. I think those would be good for us to dive into this world. And I'll say this again. Cassettes, you know, there's a lot of variables involved. And if the cassette was stored in a nice climate controlled, not away from sunlight, you still can preserve a cassette player and enjoy good quality even in 2024. Of course, there's, you know, it depends on all those things. And I've been lucky. A lot of the cassettes that I purchased they were part of someone's collection. They had it indoors, you know, no dampness and no sunlight. The ones that were in people's cars, you could tell they sound horrid, because people left their cassettes in the cars, and especially here in Florida, if they did that, those things would probably be melted down. But we're gonna pop in GNR's Use Your Illusions Volume 1. Look at that. Just the feel. There is such an organic feel to this experience versus fucking streaming, that you really get to enjoy the experience more. And of course, we're going to plug this into the Sony headphones. Again, I think these are phenomenal headphones. They're not expensive. And I think that these, you know, headphones and earbuds or whatever the fuck they're called, they're getting out of control. It's like, you know, the thing is, like, you're only able to listen and enjoy whatever the output is. And if the output is this compressed audio files, you're not getting the best. So it's like polishing a turd. Now, if your source is, you know, like a mini disc or a CD, you're getting the best digital output. You know, they were recorded. Even if they record on analog, and I'll say this because I was a musician as well in my younger days. Like, you could record analog, like the whole mic, like put the mic by your amp and then record into a digital sound recorder, soundboard. I think that's the best way of versus this direct, like from instrument to, you know, digital, like that whole process. I think because you can't appreciate that that's a Fender guitar or that's a MPEG bass. Like, those little things make song, especially when you're at musician level, it makes you appreciate the song so much more. Oh, he's using a Rickenbacker guitar. You know, like, you could pick that out when you have an analog to digital type of recording process. Like, when you listen to shit like Britney Spears, or not Britney Spears, what that, Taylor Swift and that Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber, it's just same it's same, like, it's like commercial jingles. There's no art, there's no creative. It's like corporate people wrote their songs. So you lose that, and I think that's what's going on with music nowadays. It's not turning into an art form. It's just like mass production, like fucking Big Mac. See, I mean, there's a whole experience with listening to music through a Walkman then you cannot replicate. Even when you're listening through your iPhone or iPad or whatever the fuck it's called, but you hear the mechanisms rolling. You hear the little grain in the cassette. You know, just a little bit of that tint of that sound, and it's just so beautiful. And I think this is a great model. You know, I had to do a little repairing to it when it arrived. It had a lot of dinks. The door was kind of like difficult, but luckily I had a friend who was able to fix this. But again, I wanted to do this as a tribute to Melissa's father. I think that was important. But then you got all the settings here. This is such a great unit. You compare that to the 1995, which would, you know, a few years, 4 or 5 years down the road. I mean, this is still great quality. This is phenomenal. Well, this is my, you know, prestige Walkman. But this one is not that far behind. It is, the sound, of course, is the same. The internals, the innards of it is same. But, like, you know, this one feels, there's a lot more metal than this one. So that's one of the differences that I could pick out right away. Well, anyway, this is a quick video, just taking a walk down memory lane. I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned. We'll have some more retro tech down the line as it comes. Just to show you some of the cassettes that I brought out. We have, of course, you know, me and Ozzy. We got Bark at the Moon, Black Sabbath, Please Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em. That actually came out around the same time as this Walkman, right? 1991, if I remember correctly. Or 89, I forget. I think 90, actually. I was in the middle. So this came out in 1990. And of course, The Ultimate Sin, which is probably the most underrated Ozzy Osbourne album. Of course, you have to have Thriller. I mean, you can't, the greatest, most popular selling album of all time. And again, even listening to Michael Jackson, and then you listen to Taylor Swift and all this shit. Michael Jackson, the bass lines in that are absolutely, and the guitar parts, Eddie Van Halen did them, but it's just like night and day. Like the quality of the musicianship, this is like creme de la creme. You know, I don't care if you're a metal fan or whatever type of fan you are, this is an absolutely, it deserves its spot, you know, behind or alongside Dark Side of the Moon. Anyway, that's a little bit of a spiel. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're having a great Sunday, and we'll see you next time on the next episode, Codenamed YouTube.